set it up in a way that, like, okay, you're saying something that's actually factually inaccurate
Right.
according to the narrative. Now, let's be real clear.
What began as a tragic story has turned into one of the most confusing and suspicious events of the year. And the voices questioning everything are only getting louder, including the actions of Charlie Kirk's widow. Nothing is a coincidence. Hold on to that thought. Did you know that Charlie Kirk's father, Robert W. Kirk, was actually the architect for Trump Towers? Also, did you know that Erica Lane Kirk, Charlie's widow, won Miss Arizona USA in 2012? And don't forget, Donald Trump ran the Miss America pageant from 1996 until 2015. Seeing the correlation here? Now, not saying an age difference is a big thing, but did you know Erica was 5 years Charlie Sr.? But this is where coincidences aren't coincidences, people. This was so arranged. And there's so much more to Erica Kirk. Kind of like how she was all into basketball, didn't want to be all girly, never liked to dress up, even cut all her hair off, and ended up being Miss USA? How does that happen? How do you go from sports to Miss USA? And then they meet at a Turning Point event in 2018, where she's interviewing for a job. The questions went mainstream when Joe Rogan discussed the case, saying the official story just didn't make sense. He pointed out the strange details, like the photo of the alleged suspect, a 22-year-old man holding what looked like a scoped hunting rifle. Rogan questioned if the suspect truly had the capability to make the shot. But then Rogan dispelled his own doubt, arguing that making a 200-yard shot from a prone position with a dead-on rifle isn't hard at all. He claimed you could get a trained sniper to show someone how to do it in a single afternoon, and they'd be able to hit the target every time. But it wasn't just the shot Rogan was questioning. It was the gun. He pointed out that in the first images, the rifle looked like it had a modern composite stock, like a standard .30-06. This, he noted, directly contradicted the new official narrative, that this was his grandfather's rifle from World War I, a rifle that didn't have a serial code. As talk of Rogan's comments spread, Elon Musk responded with one of his trademarked cryptic posts, "The truth doesn't hide forever." That single sentence blew up the internet. But the rifle wasn't even the weirdest part. Then there was another man, an older one, who started yelling right after the shot, claiming "I did it," before reportedly taking off his pants. Rogan also highlighted this bizarre story of the decoy. He claimed the same man was reportedly present at 9/11, the Boston bombings, and had called in a fake bomb threat at another location. And then, right after this incident, this same man was arrested for child charges. As Rogan pointed out, now you can't interview him, right? Then there's the official story of the actual suspect. The narrative is that he took the rifle apart, put it in a backpack, got on the roof, and then reassembled it. Rogan scoffed at this, pointing out that disassembling a rifle to fit in a backpack, which it likely wouldn't, and then reassembling it would take a highly skilled person a significant amount of time. He called the entire story nonsensical. It all feels fabricated. If you want people to lose all faith, you add a bunch of wacky details that don't make any sense. You spam it out there. You have an old man pull his pants down and yell, "I did it." As speculation went viral, Candace Owens went live, and the picture she painted became even darker. She stated that nothing about the official story was making sense. She referenced the book Chaos about the Charles Manson murders, suggesting that when the government wants to hide something, it releases a flood of confusing and contradictory information. It's meant to be chaotic, to drive you crazy, and to make you just accept whatever the authorities say. Owens claimed that Charlie had begun to talk about things that made the U.S. government and its allies very uncomfortable. She said he was starting to talk about topics you're not allowed to talk about when you take big checks. And she even played a clip of Kirk himself telling the truth about Jeffrey Epstein. In the clip, Kirk claimed Epstein was playing a part and wasn't some whiz-kid hedge fund manager. He claimed Epstein was an intelligence asset, possibly for Israeli, American, or Saudi intelligence, whose job was to get blackmail on powerful people. Kirk even stated members of Congress are actively being blackmailed. The Epstein playbook is being used on a daily basis.
Owen showed the world screenshots of text messages allegedly from Charlie sent just 48 hours before his life was taken, showing he had Jewish donors pulling out of funding him. The text from Charlie allegedly read, "Just lost another huge Jewish donor, $2 million a year, because we won't cancel Tucker. I'm thinking of inviting Candace." He reportedly continued, "Jewish donors play into all of the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this, leaving me no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause." These questions, and Erica's connection to Donald Trump, have actually brought a very interesting clip into the limelight, where the president seems to be making fun of Charlie. In the clip, Trump talks about how he was able to dodge a bullet, saying, "I made a turn at a good time. I turned to the right. Charlie couldn't believe it, actually. He said, 'How the hell did you make that turn?' I said, 'I don't know.'" And just as the online frenzy peaked, Utah prosecutors released something new. A series of text messages allegedly sent by the suspected assassin, 22-year-old Tyler Robinson. That's when everything erupted again. Candace Owens immediately declared the messages were clearly dodgered. She pointed to ellipses and cherry-picked phrases like, "My dad is super MAGA," which seemed to come out of nowhere. She demanded to see the full, unedited messages with timestamps, calling the omissions conspicuous and unacceptable. Steve Bannon agreed. On his podcast, he said he wasn't buying the texts, describing them as too stilted, as if the guy was writing a Shakespeare sonnet. And what's more, among the suspicious acts committed on the day were the removal of SD memory cards from the cameras set up by Kirk's own crew, and a man who could be seen to touch his hat seconds before the fatal shot was fired. Why were the memory cards taken? Candace Owens has a theory. She claimed Charlie was under increasing pressure, being flat out told he was not allowed to invite certain people to his events and being threatened with having funding pulled. She then dropped a bombshell. She claimed that weeks earlier, an intervention was staged in the Hamptons by Bill Ackman. She alleged that Ackman was upset about Charlie's rational thoughts on Israel and that threats were made. At this meeting, she claimed Bibi Netanyahu was called and Charlie was invited to Israel. She went on to talk about how Charlie was offered a ton of money to launder Israel's state narrative. She described the invitation to Israel as a re-education camp. And according to Owens, Charlie said no. He denied the funding and declined the trip. Owens said her sources were solid. She then showed messages she sent to Seth Dillon, who was allegedly also at that Hamptons meeting, asking him to comment. She claimed Dillon did not respond to her, but instead placed frantic calls to Turning Point USA. Yeah, when you put all the puzzle pieces together, it increasingly starts to look like there is more to Charlie's death than the media is telling us. And the general public seems to be of the opinion that his wife was involved in some degree. One person said on Reddit, the video she had taken of herself close up and touching Charlie's hands, saying over and over that she loved him, was sketchy. Then she posted it to her Instagram. We all grieve in our own way, but that didn't seem like grieving. Neither did her speech. This person, however, speculated that she may just be a pawn in a wider game, saying, I think that is all orchestrated by Turning Point America. She is probably mostly in shock and just going along with what she is told to do. A 22-year-old with a supposed World War I rifle. A decoy who takes his pants off and disappears into the system. An impossible story about a disassembled gun. Billionaires, foreign leaders, and pressure campaigns. And a widow whose grief seems fake? What do you think the real story is? Let us know in the comments below.